Hi Facebook, Emma Davis here. I am a veterinarian and I'm a veterinary career coach and I'm a veterinary business coach, and I'm doing 30 days live and providing content that's helpful to people that are striving to move forward and to take the next step in their careers, to up um, their enjoyment of their businesses, to get some great results in life that they're after. So thanks for those that are joining in. Send me some likes and some love. If you're watching later on, type in replay and tell me where you're watching from. And today we're going to talk quickly about recognizing ego. And I've coached a few people today and just finished coaching tonight and started meeting some new people this morning. And I just was thinking about the role of ego and how, so ego is basically that part of us that takes offense and that really digs our heels in and makes us want to be right. And so if you've ever had that kind of reaction to someone, someone really irks you or really gets under your skin, then it's usually your ego has been pressed and enacted. And if you've ever snapped back at someone or just fought to be right and not let it go, then that's actually your ego at play. And when two egos get going, all sensibility and can go out the window. So we want to be aware of our ego. Ego is healthy. Ego keeps us safe. Ego is like a radar to let us know when our boundaries might be being crossed over, and it's like a protective mechanism. But if we don't understand that it's just part of a range of personas and parts of our personality, and we're always and we're always acting out of ego, then we can have a lot of difficulties in life. And because we can, it's like a protective mechanism. So if two people have got a protective mechanism and they're talking to each other or at each other from that point, then it loses that softness and that sensibility and that win-win, being able to find a win-win that you will be able to do if you can just let the ego drop, come in a more softer approach and actually be able to find a way forward. So I was talking to a couple of people today, coaching and sussing out if they wanted to coach. And there's some people that had taken a great deal of offence with some other people that they had, or one other person in particular. Both my two people I was talking to both had one other person. And they'd recently had like an argument with, they were feeling very hurt by, very misunderstood by. And I was working with both of those people to kind of ask them to understand their role in it, and to understand that if they're not really sensitive to when their ego is at play, then it's going to be very hard to get a good outcome from those interactions. So basically if we're if our hairs on the back of our neck stick up and we're taking offence at something, then not much good's going to come of that until we can actually back down away from the ego and talk more sensibly to each other. And it was really interesting the last few weeks. What I've been going through is that sometimes different behaviours in people can really elicit a lot of anger, like a lot of resentment, or some deep emotions around how somebody else's behaviour is showing up. And that's been a really interesting learning process for me, because I know in theory about ego, and I know in practice about ego, but there's always this stuff that you don't know. And that's what self-development is, just to keep learning and reaching out for and knowing that there's stuff out there that you don't know and seeking to find out what it is. And so I haven't done much stuff with John Demartini, but I understand that the stuff that really triggers us in another person, so maybe their behaviour or how they react to you, Demartini talks about that behaviour is actually a direct reflection of yourself. So if something actually really triggers you and really upsets you, then his theory is that you reflect on what it is that is upsetting you, and then you seek that out in yourself. And either you've got that same tendency, or you've had it before, or others perceive you to have that tendency. And if you can evaluate it and understand it better, then you can kind of have compassion for the other person who's showing that, and then you can move away from it. And then you can understand Demartini's theory is that we all have every tendency. We all have every behaviour in us, and some are more prone to the bad behaviours than others, but in fact that we have a positive side, a light side, and a negative side in each of us, and that all bad behaviours and bad tendencies and bad traits actually show up in all of us to different amounts. And so by looking, if someone is triggering you and you're feeling really upset by something, then to actually not react, obviously, take it away and look at yourself and understand what it is in you that's being triggered and what that's about. And if you can own that and understand that, then you get a deeper level of understanding of yourself, of your journey, and then you can treat that person with compassion. And so we've had a terrible time building our beautiful house, and so the builder didn't really do a good job in some ways, but I guess in him I saw a busyness and an inability to stop, that I saw him rushing around and making some poor decisions. And that was very frustrating because it was our house that he's building. But at the same time, I could see that I had that tendencies in myself. And so through understanding that about what's annoying you about somebody else and actually reflecting about what that means for you, then you can learn more about yourself and get aware of it. And so even though he's caused us, or his actions have caused us a lot of grief, I have compassion for that man because I guess I understand how he's made these mistakes. I wish that he had made better choices, but I don't hold him, I don't wish him any harm, I don't wish anything bad on him. I have compassion for him as a failed, a less than perfect, not failed, but a less than perfect human being. And we're all less than perfect. And in fact, I can see some of those traits in me and in the other people that are involved in the house build. So, it's just really interesting. So, John Demartini talks about ego at play. And basically, whenever you feel your back getting up and getting really angry or really triggered by someone, that it's actually because you're seeing in that person a trait that you have yourself, or that other people perceive that you have. And so to take that feeling away of that anger and that trigger, and to try and understand more about yourself, more about that person, and come back to the whole situation with a position of compassion. So very deep today. So I do coaching. I was talking to someone in Sweden this morning, which is so cool, and Melbourne tonight, and coaching people all over the world. And so if you're interested in career coaching or business coaching, and to take your veterinary career in particular to the next level, then that's something I can help you with, and helping lots of people, and that's great. I love the work, so it's great fun. So if you're interested in that, reach out, type yes or interested, or click on the link, whatever you want, and I'll join you again tomorrow for another 30 Days Live. Love your veterinary career. Night night.